I'm Andy, I teach mythology and folklore, and this is Tantalizing Myths. We are almost done with Lilith. It remains to be seen whether she's done with us. As I close out each series, I want to do a little feature I call Beyond the Stories, or maybe Behind the Scenes. Yes, I've talked about some meta aspects before, but this time we're going to really reach outside of the story for more context. Hopefully this will add dimension to our story analysis. We're going BTS on Lilith. That sounds really naughty, and I'm sure she's okay with that. So, we've dealt with the story of Lilith, primarily the alphabet of Ben Sira, but also snippets from Genesis. These are all parts of her story. However, there are pieces that are outside the story that support the ideas we talked about. So, we're going to dive into the Talmud. I don't want to spend too much time on explaining the Talmud, as I'm sure biblical scholars will correct my misperceptions. Suffice it to say that scripture is not 100% explicit. There are discrepancies, conflictions, and just flat-out omissions, which rabbis and scribes tried to fix across centuries, much as people do today with the Bible. As discussed, it's the presence of two creations of humanity in Genesis that created the window for Lilith to begin with. The Talmud and other midrash try to smooth out these rough spots through commentary, explanation, and other ways of reading and interpreting scripture. Most of these were discussed orally, but finally set down to paper in the early Middle Ages, roughly 200 to 600 CE. The alphabet of Ben Sira doesn't appear until roughly 700 to 1000 CE, so chances are very good its author drew from Talmudic snippets. When it comes to Lilith, they don't have story for her. Instead, there are almost random explanations. It's all part of that etiology, trying to explain something that they've observed or otherwise think is an issue. The Babylonian Talmud, which is different from the Jerusalem Talmud, mentions Lilith 4 times, and there are also passages about Genesis that somewhat inform on her. I've linked to a great article that talks about Lilith in the Midrash, which is quite good, as well as links to the specific passages in the Talmud. I'm not going to talk about all of them, but 2 stand out. First, we have in, forgive my pronunciation, Niddah 24b. A fetus that has the form of a Lilith, a female demon with wings and a human face. This passage supports the idea of demons bearing wings, providing contextual support to the passage of Lilith flying into the air. Next, we have Shabbat 151b, where anyone who sleeps alone in a house will be seized by the evil spirit Lilith. Why? Well, it doesn't say exactly. However, the Genesis, Bereshit, Rabbah, 18.4 discusses dreams that would excite, and the text's footnote makes it quite clear these dreams induce in the dreamer erotic thoughts. The next line talks about how the dreams exhaust a man, and we're not talking about just physical exhaustion, but the loss of essence due to an emission at night. Now, this doesn't mention Lilith specifically, but does attribute these kinds of dreams to women generally, because Eve was created while Adam slept. Indirectly, this idea of being seized by the spirit of Lilith and the resulting emission fits quite nicely with the analysis of Lilith's sex powers. Moreover, it provides an explanation for her ability to birth so many demons. She's making direct withdrawals from donors, willing or not. If anything, this idea, not directly found in Lilith's story in the alphabet, makes her even more powerful and more dangerous, particularly to men. It places them at the mercy of Lilith, who continues to act as dominant sexual actor, and every man must be wary of her. The fragments found in the Talmud and other Midrash commentary only hint at Lilith's story. In doing so, they portray a demoness of staggering power, and also the everyday fear people had of demons being able to invade their lives. Thanks for joining me on Lilith's BTS on Tantalizing Myths, but I've still got a little bit more to talk about with her. See you next time.